All right, so today we're going to be doing the 2023 version of how to make melodies. If you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you know that every year I drop a how to make melodies tutorial, and every year I gain a little bit of knowledge about melodies and also put it into practice. So I could just share with you what I learned over the past year. So let's get into it. So of course there is going to be some music theory involved in this, but I try to make these tutorials as easy as possible for everyone to just follow along with. I like to start off with the basic foundation of the chords, and then from there I like to build it out and do what I like to call like advancing the chords. So you could just think of it as a simple process as far as like getting the basic forms, maybe re-recording it so you have that realistic feel and velocity to it. And then you can go in here and start to advance these chords and make them better. So with that said, the first thing that you need is a quality piano. I'm going to be using Piano 9 for my new Eternal Analog Lab bank. There's 85 presets in here. So I got this piano loaded up right here. It sounds really nice. I have a light version of Eternal with 21 of the sounds in it that you could download for free, and there's a couple pianos in that one that you could get, so there'll be a link to that in the description and the full kit. So we're at the default of 140. I am going to speed this up. I'll probably go somewhere close to like 157 to like 165, somewhere in there. I'm really just going to focus on the chords. We'll probably make more of like a pain melody for this because you can get like real advanced with those. The first thing that I want to do is select a scale. This is just going to make it easy for you to like find what notes work in your scale, and building chords is going to be a lot easier. You don't have to do it this way, but as mentioned, I'm trying to make this tutorial as easy as possible to follow along for everybody. So we're going to just choose a scale. Right now it's in D minor, which is one of my favorite scales. We can actually just go ahead and use that. So right here you see all the white notes are going to be the notes that fall into the scale, and then back to D right here. Right, so you could see. So in the video, you'll probably hear me say, let's build out like a 176, right? Just throwing out a random number chord progression. So like a 176. So all that's going to mean is if we count on the scale, D is going to be the first note of the scale, right? So we have 1, and then we have E right here, which is 2 of the scale. And then we're going to go to F, which is the 3 in the scale, literally just counting. So the first note, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, back to the 1. So if I say I'm going to build out a 176, all that means is that the root note right here is going to be on the 1 of the scale. And then on the second chord, we can go up to the 7th note in the scale, which will be right here. And then the 6th note in the scale, which will be right here. And then the thing that we could do is drop these down an octave, right? So technically we're going down the scale, but if we were to build it out, this would be the 1 of the scale. This is the 7th note in the scale and the 6th. So if we build these out into chords, we could call it a 176 chord progression, right? So just to give you a little bit of context, if I'm going to build my first chord on the 1 of the scale, I'm just talking about right here. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Let's bring up the velocity. And we're going to go ahead and build out our first chord. So starting on the 1 of the scale, which is going to be D, let's skip every other note in the scale. So skip right here, place, skip right here, and place. This is going to be our D minor triad, right? It's 3 notes, and we'll refer to that as the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. So this is going to be a triad. We could turn this into a 7th chord, which is going to be a bigger chord. So we can go ahead and skip right here, 1 other note, and then place right here on C. Now we got the root, 3rd, 5th, and the 7th. This is going to give us a 7th chord. And we could build out higher. We could do a 9th chord. We could do an 11th. We just skip another note here, place one here, skip another one here, place one here. And now we have an 11th chord. If we delete the top one, root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th, we have a 9th chord. So from here, what you could do is let's delete this and we'll just work with our 7th chord right here, right? Though the first thing that you might want to do to make this chord sound a little bit more advanced is do some inversions. So what we could actually do is hold control, take this note, control, down arrow. That's going to drop it down a whole octave. So now let's create an inversion. Let's take this A and let's go up an octave. So control, up arrow. This is the same chord, but now you're going to see that it's more spread out. This is going to give us like a bigger chord, just to give it more of like a full feeling. But the main thing it's going to do is just spread this chord out, and you'll see that it's going to sound a lot different, but it is the exact same chord in the basic form. So we'll place one here, skip one, place, skip one, place, skip one, place. That's the original, right? Same chord, but now watch how different it sounds. So from here, let's go ahead and just build out some type of chord progression. I'm gonna put the metronome on and I'm gonna just figure out what I want my next root note to be. The root note right here is going to be D, that's the bottom of the chord, and we're gonna find another root note that sounds good. So let's build out on C right here, skip every other note. And then we have that A sharp. I am actually just going to flatten that down one, and that's going to share this A here, so they'll have a nice transition. And then we'll go over here, go down the scale again, and then we'll build out on A sharp. We'll skip every other note like this. And then we can bring this over here like that. And it's pretty common chord progression, but it sounds good. So now we can get into like a different type of rhythm for this, right? So maybe we want to take these chords over here more and bring this out and do like a transition in between a bar like this, and then bring this over here. So now in between the second and the third bar, we'll do our chord transition. And then we can bring this over here, and we can also go like this. So from here, the next thing that I want to talk to you about is if you have a MIDI keyboard, actually replaying these chords and recording them to get that realistic feel. Now, personally, I like doing that. I play a lot of my melodies on the MIDI keyboard, but you could do all of this in the piano roll. I just do so much of it on the MIDI that I'm not like the best at recreating that in the piano roll. So what you could do is just kind of look at how these notes look when I play them, so you have a reference and you can match like the velocity and whatnot. And I'll also give away the MIDI for this so you guys could download it. So what we're gonna do is actually go over here and let's just create a loop over here, and I'm gonna record this, and I'm literally just gonna record chord by chord. So now you'll see the timing is a little bit off, which I intentionally did, and then we have a lot of velocity variation going here, which is good. So now we can cut right here, so we can copy the same progression or rhythm that we have over here actually. And then let's go like this. I'm actually going to bring this root note in, so I could just go ahead and do that. So now we have the same exact chord progression, but we have a lot of velocity variation going on, and then the notes are different. So let's hear them both side by side. So this one sounds a little bit more realistic and a lot nicer. So I'm actually just going to delete this one over here and use this. So now let's get into making this sound a lot better, which is going to be the second part of this, is advancing it. To start it off, let's just take our root notes here and let's drop this down an octave here, right? And then from here, what we'll do is we'll take this F sharp and we'll go up one octave. So hold control and go up. All right, so now we can actually go ahead and get rid of this section here. And I think I actually want to make this chord progression a little bit longer. And the reason for that is we can fit like more melody in and more small parts that just have a transition. It'll get a little bit more emotional. And then down the line, you'll have more room for like vocals and guitars and different phrases to kind of play off each other. We can also add in another chord probably here so that this chord can hit again. See what I'm saying? And then we can have this go over here. So from here, what I want to do is start to bring some of these notes in and get a rhythm going. So what I like to always do is take like a middle note like this C right here and bring it in. We could actually put a little bit more on grid, and then maybe we could take this F and bring it in here. And now we can go from this F right here, and you'll see that the E is right underneath it. That's going to add some tension in. Ooh. And then I'm going to add another E in right here, and that will build right into this part where the chords hit. We can also probably add in these one octave higher, like there, and that'll give it more of like that aggressive like chord hitting feel. And then let's take these root notes here and bring them down another octave. From here, what I want to do is just mess with a couple more notes as far as like rhythm goes, and then we can add a couple more passing notes and then get into adding like a top line melody to this. I'm hearing like a higher note around here. Maybe we could do something like that. I'm just going off ear. That's like a scale run right here a little bit, just going straight down. And what we'll do is add in like another note here. Could build out like a chord for this one. Bring this in. Bring this up. Oh, you see what I'm saying? You weren't expecting that chord, but now it's here. Then we'll go like this. And what I like to do, and we're already going to start building a melody out of this, is play off this note here. So because we built a chord and there's a higher note here, it's a couple octaves up. Now when we jump back into the chord progression for this next 8 bars over here, I'm going to start building off this. This is going to be the note that like kind of brings us up the scale and continues it. This melody that's leading is going to make you feel like it's changed. Let's go from E to A. And this E right here, we'll just place another E over here. And then we drop down to A right here anyway, so that kind of replaces that A. So this will work out. And we might switch this so that it's a little bit different from over here. So what we can actually do is bring that one up an octave. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, that sounds better with that taken out. So from here, we can go ahead and add in a top line melody. What I like to do is just find pockets. So there's like pockets here and here where there's not too much going on. There's a little bit of a pocket here and kind of right here where I can find places to create a melody. So I'm just going to duplicate Analog Labs. Another thing I like to do to get inspiration for like a top line melody, if I've been listening to like the piano for too long, is to just go ahead and bring this to a different key. So let's actually go down 2 and let's go to C minor. Get something else going over here. I didn't like this part, but this part's not too bad. And this sounds really good. So from here, you can start to add in like all your other sounds and stuff like that. I think I'll probably add in a couple more things. Real quick, let's just add a string into this so you can kind of hear like what it would sound like. So I'm going to duplicate Analog Labs. Then we'll be in the full version of Eternal. And let's go down here to strings 1. This is honestly one of my favorite strings from the bank. Let's go over here. And let's just add in a couple of notes just to see what it would sound like if we had like a string melody going. Hopefully you picked up a couple tips and tricks as far as creating chord progressions and melodies. This was the 2023 version of how to make melodies. I drop one of these every single year. If you do want to download the MIDI, there will be a link to that in the description. And if you want to check out the Eternal Analog Lab Bank that I just dropped, there'll be a link to that in the description as well. The full version and the light version are the same link. You'll see a part that says try the light version. You could try out the light version. And if you want to get the full version, you go ahead and get the full version. Appreciate you watching. I usually say let's hear the full beat, but we don't really have one. Maybe I'll have it. I don't know. But with that said, let's hear the full melody.